Thank you, Lynette. That was beautiful. Thank you. And so now it's time to introduce our speaker of the morning, Toni Hamilton, although I know that you saw on the flyer that it was supposed to be Neil, but Toni is stepping in because Reverend Neil had to step away for a family emergency. So please welcome our beloved Toni Hamilton.
Good morning, everyone. That was actually Reverend Joel that had to step away for a family emergency. And let's just take just a moment and send light and love to Reverend Joel and his family, please. Thank you. So, our theme for the month is holy boldness. That makes me chuckle. Our topic for today is fired up. Did you ever see an image or a video of a great big huge mountain in the distance and like a little tiny ant? There was a mountain climber, like you see the rope and the persons at the end of it climbing up this enormous mountain. You ever see one of those? Or you see this great big mountain and it's full with snow and there's a blizzard, and you see this little tiny area where there's a blue tent that's half covered in snow, and there are people hunkered down trying to wait out the storm and survive the storm. I'm amazed when I see those things. I wonder, I'm very curious about what kind of character that person has, what's going on in their mind that they would do that. People that jump out of airplanes. I know soldiers do it all the time, but I'm amazed by that. Me, I might have to go down with the plane because I'm scared of heights. I'm laughing at myself, but it's a testament to the human spirit and to the presence of God within us, the presence of spirit, the presence of whatever you understand your higher power to be, for people who are able to do those kinds of things as a daily thing that they do, as a daily thing that they prepare for. I recently had an experience that was not easy for me, to say the least. And after I had the experience, I became aware of a person like this. Many of you may have heard of David Goggins. I'm not sure. I think it's Goggins. I think that's how you pronounce his name. You may have seen motivational videos that use him or interviews of him. He's a Black Navy SEAL. He's a marathon runner. He's a triathlete. He's won literally 20 medals from the Navy. He's broken all kinds of different records. He has two best-selling books, Can't Hurt Me, Master Your Mind and Defy the Odds, and Never Finished, Unshackle Your Mind and Win the War Within. I'm fascinated by him when I listen to him. I want to share a quote with you from David Goggins. He said, "Your brain is the most powerful weapon in the world. Once you put away your phones and your computer and all that stuff we have nowadays, your brain is the only thing you have when you're going through depression, you're going through a hard time, when you're going through death, real life stuff. You can't Google that. I love that. You are alone. You may have a shrink you're going to, you may have a best friend, but there's 24 hours in a day where you alone in this brain, and your brain is talking to you in all kinds of ways. And it wants to control you, pull you in different pockets. If you can't control your own brain and your brain controls you, you're messed up. You've got to tell your brain, tell it where you want to go, how you want to go, how you want to get there. You've got to control it. If not, it's over. I was really impacted by that. So recently, I've had a few experiences. Let me share one, if I may. Some of you may have noticed over the past several months, you may have seen me limping. You may have seen me move a certain way and wince in pain. You may not have noticed, that's okay. But I've for a while been having a challenge with my hips and having pain and going back and forth to different doctors and everything. And for much longer than my hip has been bothering me, I've been saying to myself, I need to go back to yoga. I want to do my yoga. You may not know, but in my younger years, I was a dancer. And I'm used to being active and being fit. Before COVID, I was swimming 3-4 days a week. I'm used to being active and being fit. So having pain in my hips and not being able to move easily, not being able to dance was a shock to me and be really uncomfortable. And I kind of tried not to look at, not to entertain the idea that this wasn't going to go away, but it was hanging out too long. And so I knew I needed to stretch. But what it took me a while to realize was that I wasn't stretching because I was afraid of the pain, because it hurt. And I knew that it was going to hurt if I stretched. And somehow, finally, one day, after I treated so long, that I got tired of me treating about it. Well, finally, one day, I just did it. I got out my computer, I found some stretching videos, and I just did it. And it wasn't easy. And it hurt. And I had to breathe through it and really take my time, literally, like moving from one position to another. I had to have a little break in between. Not something I've ever been used to in my life. And when I finished, I gave thanks. I was grateful. And every day when I finish, now I look in the mirror and I say, thank you. So when I hear of people like David Goggins running a marathon with messed up shins, with broken leg, I can't imagine. You know, we know there are people that have done what we call superhuman things, but it's hard for me to wrap my mind around it. Quite honestly, kind of scary. And I know that we're not supposed to compare ourselves to people. My idea is not in any way to compare myself to David Goggins, but view him as an example of possibility. To view him as a message about being able to get out of your own way, to conquer inertia, to conquer I can't, always in this teaching, in any religion, it goes back to our belief in our higher power and our relationship with our higher power. Because when we look at ourselves and feel like we can't, what we as human beings generally do is we turn to spirit. And so that's the door for us. That's the breakthrough. That's the opening. That's the way past. I can't. I'm afraid. I don't know how. Whatever it is that's stopping us, whatever the inertia is. Have you ever said to yourself, I want to do this or I want to try that? I don't know how, but I really want to do that. Somehow I'll figure it out. Something will happen, something will open. And it starts with that decision. So this life is a constant creative process. And despite the other craziness that is going on in this world right now, there is so much more in life that is magnificent. That's awesome. That's wonderful. So what I will share with you is that lately I have been in the doldrums, like kind of stuck. And telling myself what we tell ourselves. I'm too busy. I have too much responsibility. I have to take care of this one. I have to take care of that one. I have all this stuff to do and feeling very overwhelmed. But the truth is, regardless of what it is I need to do, it's up to me. And if I don't do it, like Mr. Rogers says, you've got to do it. You can dream all day, but if I don't do it, it doesn't happen. Nothing gets done. There is so much that we may be missing because we get stuck. And being fired up means waking up and deciding that life can be an adventure, allowing life to be an adventure, to be inspired, for it to be glorious, for us to really, really have the beauty and the excitement. But it starts with a decision. We can become interested. We can become well informed. We can avoid laziness or complacency. We can stay informed. The everyday stuff that we do is so important. And where we come from when we're doing it is so important. So, recently we had an election. Looking at this was a real overwhelm for me. I don't know about you, but it was a real overwhelm for me. And I looked at some of the names on my sheet for the local candidates, and I went into a panic because I realized I don't know who some of these people are. We had like about 3-4 new people for local government. And I said, I can't vote because I'll be out of integrity. I can't vote and not know about these people and who they are and what they've done, and if they represent the things that I want and that I believe in, and if I can trust that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. So I did research. I did some serious research, and my research was very successful and allowed me to make the decisions about who to vote for. I want to be accountable. I think that many of us want to be accountable. It's important to us. And we want to hold others accountable. And that means self-care. It means getting fired up about self-care. And it's important for us to consider how we are utilizing our most precious commodities. Choice, like time, is one of our most precious commodities. It is the doorway to freedom. Now, none of us know how much time we have. It's one of the mysteries that we consciously or unconsciously negotiate and navigate every day. It's best we know not to live in fear of it, but better not to waste it or take it for granted. In the process of choosing, we may look at things or experiences and decide that they're out of our reach because we don't have the vision. We can't see how it's possible to get from where we are to there. And so sometimes we don't, but some do. Like Arthur, like David Goggins. I shared with you before, Arthur was a guy who was a paratrooper, and he did so many jumps that he hurt his body, and he was on crutches and in a wheelchair, and the doctor told him that he just wouldn't walk again. But somehow Arthur just wasn't accepting it. And he found it came to him an awareness of Diamond Dallas Page and this DDP yoga that Diamond Dallas Page had created to help athletes who had been injured and had been hurt. And Arthur asked Diamond Dallas Page if he could help him. And Diamond Dallas Page said, I don't know, but I'll try. And so you can go online. I've told you this before. This is when I need a boost. This is one of the videos that I look for online. Okay. Arthur's transformation. And I don't want to spoil it. If you haven't seen it, you literally see him going from being in a wheelchair and walking on the crutches and being hugely overweight to where he is today. David Goggins is a man who just absolutely kept trying and kept trying until he succeeded to the point of winning all kinds of awards. So when we don't see how something is possible, very often we don't even go for it. If the mountain looks too large, the storm is too scary, we stay safe. So I love meeting people because I love learning about different people, what's inside of them, what talents and skills they have, what they've developed, what they've walked through. I find that most human beings are really inspiring. And I gravitated towards this teaching many years ago because it seemed to me like it offered the opportunity, the possibility for freedom and for me to create the success and the life that I wanted to live. At the time, I had no awareness, no understanding of how long it may take, the amount of work that it would require, or that it would be a continuous lifelong learning, effort, task, and journey. It took me many years to figure out I'm going to be doing this until it's time for me to go. See, while we're moving along the road of life, it is very important to pay attention, to stay awake, to be aware of our surroundings and know and understand what's going on. Because sometimes we have to course correct, lest we find ourselves someplace that we didn't intend to go and that we really don't want to be. Now, is life linear? No. And sometimes we find ourselves in unexpected places. And sometimes those unexpected places, situations, experiences are great. And sometimes we really need to course correct. But self-love, self-care, and fulfillment require that we don't settle, that we're not complacent, that we are autonomous. Otherwise, we gradually lose access to the very things that are important to us. Being fired up means using our energies, our talents, our faculties in service to ourselves and the experiences that we want to have. David Goggins is an example of someone who decided that failure was not an option. Giving up was one thing he was not willing to do, because the truth is, success or failure is an inside job. The buck stops here with me. It has to do with what is within us, our minds and hearts, our beliefs and our willingness. You know the expression, if it's to be, it's up to me. Even when I'm scared, in pain, don't know how. Now, I don't think that David Goggins knows about or is aware of this teaching, but he is certainly living and using the principles. We decide, we get committed, we go all in, full out, and never give up. That's being, that's living fired up. We decide, commit, move our feet and spirit. God, whatever you call your higher power, makes a way out of no way and makes it happen through us. Let's take this into treatment. And so, as I know the power of getting quiet, I just take a moment. I take a moment and I stop. I listen. I feel myself. And I search inside myself for the presence, for an inkling of that connection with something so much more and greater than myself, knowing that that something moves through me, that it lives in me, that it gives me life, and it expresses full out by means of me. I take a moment and with joy and gratitude, I ride the flow. I ride the flow that supports me, that sustains me, that maintains me. I allow it to inform me. I allow it to guide me. I practice the presence. I practice connecting with this presence. I practice opening my mind and heart and allowing this presence to move through me. Grateful that in this moment I am awake and I am aware. In this moment, I am not on automatic. I am not allowing my mind to control me, but I am open to the power and presence of spirit and allowing this presence to move through me and gift me with all of its qualities and attributes, with all the beauty, all the wholeness, all the peace, all the joy, all the energy. I open my mind and heart. I remember, I recognize, I look for this intelligence that I call God, Spirit, and I allow it to inform me. I allow it to move through me. And for this, I am so grateful, because when I partner with Spirit, anything is possible. And I look in my world when I am struggling and I am reminded, I see examples. There are so many authors and David Goggins in this world, right in my world. And I am so very grateful. And so knowing this truth, I commit to remembering, I commit to recognizing, I commit to turning my attention to this presence and allowing it to express by means of me. And for this, I am so grateful. I am so grateful for all the beauty, the wonderful experiences, the successes, the love, the joy, the peace. I am so grateful for every wonderful, awesome expression of God in this world. And so I simply release this word into the law, giving thanks that it continues and knowing that it is the truth. Please close with me. And so it is.